Hello, welcome to PlayStation Access. My name's Rob and welcome back to the Tuesday Checklist. Every Tuesday the Access team takes inspiration from a recent or upcoming release to start a conversation about some of our favourite games. This week we're looking at 6 games that tricked us into caring too much, starting with a suspiciously bleary-eyed Nathan confessing some things about Destiny 2.
So opening up on games that tricked us into caring too much, my entry has to be, it's quite shameful really, but Destiny 2, the last 2 weeks. Dave, this comes after I promised you I wouldn't get into Destiny 2.
I knew you were lying.
And you were right. I really honestly thought it wasn't going to happen to me, because what makes this more ridiculous that I've been tricked into it is that I put so many hours into Destiny 1 and I cared about things that no human being should care about. Once I'd done all the story, once I'd done everything that the game had to offer, it's fun when you play with your friends, right? When you're in the Crucible together and you're beating other guys, you're coordinating and you're going to the zones, or now you can pick up crests and supremacy, that's like my new favourite thing. That's great, and you're having, you're catching up. It's always the excuse. Sorry Sarah, I've got to go online, I've got to catch up. Tim lives in America now, I've got to go and talk to Tim for 6 hours while we do the raid. So you do all that, like the high-end game stuff, and then, my character's kind of maxed out. What am I, or nearly maxed out, what am I doing it for? And I'm inching along. The game says, how about this number? And you're like, I would like that number, can I have the number? And then the game's like, yeah, but maybe not now, maybe tomorrow or after 20 hours of doing this thing. And I'm like, yeah, but the number though, I really like the number. And so this time round, I feel even more ridiculous. The game's been much improved, story-wise, there's more kind of content to keep a normal, like the emotional side of our brains going. I've rinsed all of that, that's all done. I haven't even admitted to you, Dave, I have started a second character now. So I'm actually halfway through.
I've seen you doing this.
I'm
online last night.
halfway.
Like, how's Dave for level 13? I thought he was...
Yeah.
Oh, he started.
I got so annoyed
Warlock.
with Warlocks using their grenades in Crucible. I was like, well, I'm going to have Warlock grenades as well then. I'm going to have area of effect grenades. And I hate the way they throw them like this. Like they don't even really care. That really annoys me. But the madness of it last night really brought it home. Was after midnight. I'd had a nice game of Crucible, some rounds of Crucible with some friends. You guys couldn't get online, but with some friends. Somebody mentioned the Nightfall and I was like, oh, I haven't done it. And this is the collective madness. Everyone went, we could just do it now, we'll run you through it now. And it was like, 12:30, coming up to 1 o'clock, and I was like, yeah, sure, this seems like a good use of my time. And it was because I had a quest. I was supposed to, just do the Nightfall with 5 minutes left and I would complete this quest and I get an exotic item. That didn't happen. And because that didn't happen, because someone else in my team had to also have the weapon or the quest, and we didn't know that, I looked it up online afterwards, I had another exotic quest, which was just go and kill X number of things in the Nessus. So I started doing that instead after everyone had gone offline. I was playing until 2:30 in the morning. So Destiny's a great game, I really like it, but I know, that thing of like they teach rats, this is like this is a thing that everyone knows. You teach a rat to press a button and a thing will come out. And the reward is the thing that the rat likes. Oh, I like the reward, thanks for the reward. I will press this button all the time. And then even when the rewards stop, the rat's still hitting that button. And I can feel when I'm enjoying this game because it's really well made and I enjoy the world and the story and I'm playing with my friends. When that ticks over into give me more pellets please, and I'm just bashing this button and like nothing's coming out. All the things that come out are the same level as the stuff I've already got.
Green.
I'm still just bashing it. 265. Everything's 265. What's happening? What's going on? But the rat it never learns.
So a game that made me care far too much, or more than I should have done, I think, was in Dark Chronicle. You love Dark Chronicle, don't you guys?
Yeah,
that game? Dark Chronicle is a level 5 role-playing game that was on PS2 originally. It's now on PS4 as well. It's a great game, dungeon crawling role-playing game. There's a thing in it where you have to, basically the whole point of the game is there's an evil time-traveling emperor who's screwing with time. He's from the future and he comes back to the past and he wipes out the origin points of all his enemies. So there's an amazing magician that can fight him in the future. He wipes out his great-great-great-great-granddad so he can never exist. Your job is to travel through the present, which is his past, and restore all of those origin points so that you can fight the emperor in the future. To do that, you have to build towns, basically, where all of these people can live. So maybe a forest needs to exist in the future, so you have to plant a couple of trees. in your timeline to spark that forest into existence in the future. And you have like a list of things you have to do. For instance, plant the 2 trees, make a house next to a river, have a certain person living in that house, so-and-so wants a purple roof, blah, 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 move this person in. And you can do all of these things without making your towns look particularly nice. They can just be really kind of hodgepodge, just house there, fence there, river going through there, and then you can continue with the story. But I got so suckered into this town building mechanic thing that I ended up, it's called Georama, I ended up spending more time in Georama than I did in the actual game of Dark Chronicle, just stressing over how my towns looked. Like, they'd have to have nice streets, the river couldn't be just, you know, in a stupid place, had to, you know, I wanted to make beautiful, picturesque towns, basically. And so most of my time was spent gathering resources in the, like, the dungeon crawly bits, not so I could build up my weapons, but so I could have wood to build more houses, and so I could have, you know, ore and stuff to build nice settlements for people. I mean, compared to some of the other things I've talked about in these videos that I like to do in video games, this is quite a constructive use of my time, I thought.
I don't have anything to say about it.
So a game that has tricked me into caring about it way too much, like way too much, if I actually think about it and take the time to analyse it, is PES. Specifically, I suppose, PES 2014, but really you could definitely apply that to 15 and 16, and if I get the chance, 18 and beyond, I'm sure. I can't get enough of that PES. And particularly, I mean, I used to play PES when I was younger and I had a Master League. I'm talking about Master League, but it hit a whole new high for me when I played it with Rob at lunchtimes at work, and we had a co-op Master League. It was just like, man, I cared about that game. I mean, we were playing it lunchtimes, we were playing it after work. We were not eating well so that we could play Master League. And a lot of people will be thinking, yeah, but you know, Master League is really good. But I guess what's interesting to me about it is that I'm not really a football man. I'm not really into football. I don't really support a team. I like watching international football, but apart from that...
I support the England team.
I support the England team, and a long way they continue to do better, actually. Do better, England, please. But I'm not really into football that much. Rob really is into football, Nath really is into football, but not me. But Rob and I started playing this PES Master League, and there's something about it, man. There is something about it. It's a trick. It's definitely a trick because I cared about it too much. And I think I've given it a little bit of thought, and I think it's all about the stories. We chose to play with the the Master League team, the sort of fictional characters. You start with the team. We started in 2nd division to work our way up as heroes, as you might expect, as I'm sure most people do, and especially because that was a made-up team with made-up players. Those players meant so much to me, and they had their own stories. They had, they were starting as blank sheets. I didn't know anything about them. Rob didn't know anything about them because they weren't real players. And so we were just taking them at face value. We would play a match and we would see how they get on. And in each match, there would be a little story. There would be a little hero. There would be a little villain. And those things carried on. We knew those players inside out, and if you were bad, you would be on the bench, and if you were very bad, you wouldn't even be on the bench, and you would be sold as soon as possible. I mean, we were just praying. We were putting people on the ready for loan list, just get rid of it. And it was
awful, weren't they?
the strikers were terrible. God, I remember the first season we were just we couldn't wait for the transfer window, but of course we had no money because we had no money for the first transfer window. And then I remember we managed to eke out our first. I think we got we went up in our first season, but we didn't win. We didn't win the league.
And
we came third, and we did not get very much prize money. And again, the transfer window came round, and we just looked at our hands and sort of thought, how are we going to get through this?
You say you and Rob had a Master League, and that's true.
Yeah.
You guys started it without me.
We got to start a Master League this year, Rob. I'm desperate to. I look back on with such
I'm
fond
right
memories.
Here, man.
No, but you're welcome to join us, Nate.
Sure.
You're welcome. I would encourage that, definitely.
Well,
but I just.
Me and you start, maybe Rob could join in.
Well, we could do that too. I'd feel a little bit like I was cheating on Rob then. It would be weird. But
We got to do it. Oh man, I love Master League. It's so good.
So for my second entry, I've actually brought along, I've had to write some things down because the memory of this game, it was quite traumatic, and I ended up giving the game away, and because of that I flushed the things out of my mind so I wouldn't have to think about them anymore because they used to make me so angry. So this is Fallout 4, which was a brilliant game, right? So Rob is always on at me because I've never played Skyrim, and he's right. Like, so I admit that Skyrim is probably a game I'd really enjoy. But I did play Fallout because it was new, and I was like, I'll crack on with it. Similar mechanics and world, I understand, roughly. And you're right, I really enjoyed it, Rob, and I was getting towards the end. I know most of the big spoilers in the game. I decided the Brotherhood were a bunch of absolute idiots. Yeah. I decided where I loved the detective, whose name I've forgotten. Was getting on great with it, and then started to I had more and more settlements as I'd uncovered more and more of the map. And the thing that Fallout 4 made me care about, it tricked me into caring about too much, was the health and the happiness of my settlements. So I had loads all over the map. And you have to care about, and I'd genuinely forgotten these things, and I was getting really angry writing them down. So you have to actually have beds for every person that lives there. Like, the game doesn't understand metaphor. Like, just have some beds and everyone can sort of share them. I would have like a hot bunking system if it was up to me. It's the apocalypse, guys, you know what I mean? Like, you getting one bed between two seems fine, but so I was like having to re-landscape tiny little settlements like in the middle of awful cities to make sure that everyone had their own bed. You have to actually wire the settlement. I haven't ever done a plug, you know what I mean, in real life. And then food, and the madness about the food was, I always you go into a settlement that's already like been made, or someone's house or whatever, and all everything's in really neat rows, and so I'd always want really neat rows so that I can really maximise the amount of food that I'm producing here. But then there would be it would go red, and there'd be a bit of ground that you couldn't put the corn into for whatever reason. So then it would be a weird shape. And also I'd try and assign settlers to tend a piece of corn on the ground, and then they would just go off and do like a gun or something. They would never do what they were told.
Do a gun.
It would drive me insane.
Off-road some guns.
But the worst thing was the supply lines. So as you get more, like some places are sad. Well, actually the biggest problem was I'd want to go and build flipping beds for somebody somewhere, and it would be like, oh, you haven't got the resources to build a bed. And obviously supply lines allow you to share resources between all of your settlements, but and I would be off in the middle of nowhere in radioactive Bumtown, trying to build beds for the idiots who can't share. And it would just say, oh, you haven't got any resources. I'd be like, oh, I'll try and find some, but I can't. I've got to fast travel back over here. So the supply line's supposed to fix all of that. But what actually happened was, I didn't realise, first of all, that they don't work like if I have Sanctuary up here and I put it to Bumtown, and then I put another supply line to here to other town. Bumtown and other town can't talk to each other through Sanctuary. That doesn't happen. They need to be in a, and actually I just looked it up and I've written down in big letters, loop, because I was so angry that I never thought of it. As long as you have them all chained serially in a loop, they will all talk to each other. But if you have a hub and you come out from that hub, because you've got enough settlers there to actually make supply lines, it doesn't work. So I got to the point where I really wanted everybody to be happy and to have a bed, and I'd already made just a vomit of supply lines all over my map, and I literally sent my disc away to somebody who wanted it in the post. I just put it on Twitter, and I had to physically send the disc away.
Another game that tricked me into caring too much was, guess what game?
Final Fantasy VII.
No.
Metal Gear Solid. Skyrim.
Skyrim.
Oh, really?
Diddly-dee. Yeah. Skyrim. In Skyrim, you get horses in Skyrim, and they act, in much the same way as cars in Grand Theft Auto. They're just a means of getting around the world a bit faster, really. And if you crash a car in GTA, no one cares really. You just get out and steal another one, and you can do the same with horses. Like if your horse dies, you can just buy another one or steal another one. But naturally, it's a horse, so you form an emotional attachment. Skyrim's great at doing this, enabling you to project your own stories onto things. It kind of leaves most things like a blank slate. You can you imagine your own stories, and you create your own stories within Skyrim. And so, your horse, if it stays with you for a while, it becomes your horse. You'll give it a name, has its own little personality quirks, like it doesn't always come when you want it to come and things like that. And I remember just, I had this horse for ages and I was, you know, happily trotting along, and I decided to explore around this waterfall, and for some reason got into a spot of bother and could not get my horse back up this hill again that I'd started to go down. So okay, I'm going to have to come down the hill now. So I was carefully kind of stepping down the hill, and it just went wrong. The horse just kind of plummeted and crashed to the bottom of the hill and died in a horrible broken limbed mess at the bottom of this cliff by a waterfall. And I remember being utterly distraught about it, just like unreasonably distraught.
What was the horse called, Rob?
Can't remember. That's how much I cared. But I cared more about the horse than I did even about my companions, because you can take human companions on quests with you. Like Lydia's a famous one, but there are a bunch of others around who you can take into, you know, into frost troll inhabited caves and things, and occasionally they can die, and that's quite sad. But something about animals dying,
It's 'cause the
that's
animal
even worse.
was reliant on you, Rob.
Yeah.
They're other people, aren't they?
Yeah.
They can fend for themselves.
The horse hasn't got any idea what's going on in Skyrim.
It doesn't understand why it's in pain.
Doesn't know that dragons are attacking, and well, it probably does, but it doesn't understand why.
This is so hard.
And it was just, I remember the music in Skyrim is very it's very ambient and can often seem quite melancholy and sad. And I remember a really sad, melancholy bit of music was playing, and I was just standing there, just looking at my dead horse while the water went by. Night was descending, the northern lights came out in the sky.
The send off for the nameless horse.
Yeah, and it was just, it was awful.
So my second game is a game I've only recently started playing. I played a little bit of the first one. I'm talking about XCOM, more specifically for me now, XCOM 2. And to be fair, this is a similar entry to Master League. Apart from that was football, which is mental that I'm really into that. This is saving the world from aliens, which is, I think it's more my bag, you know, it's a bit more me. But again, the caring for the characters in XCOM 2 is just like, it's just crazy. And I suppose it comes down to permadeath, something that there isn't in Master League, thank God. Although players can retire. And again, like I was thinking about this, I was thinking, why do I like it so much? Because I have got a team, I've got an access team, or squad. So, no, you're all still there. I'm not miles into the game. Nath, you are gravely injured currently, but you've got like a week off and then you'll be back in. Rob, you're fine, Holly's fine. Dan is fine as well. Actually, maybe Dan's gravely injured. Can't remember. But you guys are all in the squad. And I thought at first, like, it's because you just, you know, I give you your names. But actually, it's not that. Again, it is just, it doesn't matter exactly who they are. It's the little stories that they have in the field. So, Nath, you're a sniper, and a couple of, like one time I really needed you to make a shot, and it was like a 50-50 shot, and you made the shot, and that was amazing. And then, you know, like that little story has now gone against your mark. Also, the more I play with you guys, the more you level up, so you are even more valuable to me. And then, you know, I'm starting, it's at the stage where I'm starting to go on missions. I'm looking at the briefing and I'm looking at the difficulty, and I'm thinking, there's a chance that someone will die here, but who do I want to take? You know, it's that whole balance of, do I want to take someone who's really good, who might help me win the mission, but also is really good and I don't want them to die. And there's this whole balancing act. It's incredibly stressful, and you guys can't say no either. You can't even argue with me. You just stand proudly as I put you on the helicopter. That's nice too. You all respect me. That's good. Although I'm also in the game. So I'm the commander, but I'm also in the game, and I think I am starting to really protect me. Actually, I'm probably the one I protect the most. I think it's slightly subconscious, although now I've said it out loud, I guess it's a real thing. I know what I'm doing. But yeah, XCOM 2, if you have some time and you're looking for something to really dig into, like, it's such a good game. Like, it's turn-based, which I thought I was going to find a little bit kind of off-putting, but it doesn't matter at all. In fact, I'm so glad it is, because it gives me time to think through my tactics and plan everybody's amazing moves rather than running in a bit hot-headed and just getting everyone killed. It's great. It slightly concerns me that your way of dealing with caring too much is to send that thing away.
What do you mean?
I don't know, it's like a weird safety mechanism.
I've only ever had two children.
No, I care too much, so I will send you away, and I don't care about you at all anymore.
Exactly.
You're gone.
If I close my... And I've literally forgotten about it and had to write it down.
Yeah.
If something becomes too important to me, I destroy it.
Thanks, Nath. That's not in the least bit disturbing. And thank you for watching. Give us a like if you've enjoyed the video and let us know in the comments what games have tricked you into caring more than you really should. Don't forget you can subscribe for more of these videos every Tuesday, and we'll see you next week.